Good morning. Welcome. Saturday, April 11th. Today is day 11 of the 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript. Hello, how are you? My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we are working on this project called the 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript, where I do a practice project every single day. I stream it. We figure it out together. Sometimes it's a struggle session. Yesterday was an intense day. Yesterday we did, well, it was originally called the simple task list. I renamed it task list because it was anything but simple. Honestly, it was simple right up until the part where I had to remember and like cache the data with local storage. Then things got really complicated really quick. Now we did figure it out. Oh, here it is styled because I didn't finish styling it on stream. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think it looks great. We're able to remember our choices. This is a combination of tasks and a Costco trip that I need to do next week. And then I also did a really long task because I just wanted to make sure that this wrapped and still looked okay. So we're putting in this button with JavaScript. We have ARIA labels. I have all of the JavaScript here updated. I understand it. It makes sense now. However, it was quite the task yesterday. By the end, gosh, I was tired. Like I was really tired. So I think this weekend is going to be a little bit easier. I think it's going to be a little less stressful. Today we're going to do the social sharing buttons. Tomorrow we are going to do a GDPR cookie consent banner. These are both tasks that I chose, that I wanted to work on. These are things that I've done in the past on other projects that I wanted to do specifically for this. So we have like a base. We have a scaffolding, if you will. To get started to help us along. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a nice weekend. I think it's going to be, I really just want it to be a chill weekend because today's day 11 and I'm like, I'm doing great. I'm here. We're moving forward. Also, I can't have every day be like a 3.5 to 4 hour struggle session. It's just too exhausting. I can't do that every single day. So we need to have a couple nice days. So that's what we're going to do today. Also, what we do today and tomorrow is going to be global. So they are not going to be separate components. We're going to put everything inside of our global script.js. So there's that. Okay, I think we should just go ahead and get started. Maybe really quick, real quick. Would you do me a favor? If you haven't already, would you please like this video? It helps the algorithm. It helps push this out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. I would appreciate it so much. Subscribe if you aren't already. I'm generally here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. But like I said, here every day in the month of April for the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. So there's that. Monique Robinson is here. Monique is a mod in the chat. Malik Robinson is also here, also a mod in the chat. Not related, just a coincidence. Malik and Monique. We love them. And they're both triggering Nightbot, which, yes, is funny. So okay, let's get started. Let's just do it. Look at that, 6.5 minutes in and we're already, usually I'm still talking for like at least 20 minutes before we start to do anything on this channel. So here's what I want to do. I want to we are going to dynamically create social sharing buttons, and let's just look actually at an example of where we did this. The last project, the first and only project we did this on. So this is a website that we built called Scenic. If you want to take a look, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. But if we scroll down to the bottom of this page, you can see here that we have some sharing links. You do not need a script from any of these platforms to do this. You can do this just with the URL, and I'm going to show you how today. Now, the difference between what we did here is that the markup is already on the page. So really, we generated the links dynamically because you really need the URL and data from the page in order to do that. So let's actually look at the GitHub for this project, and I'll show you kind of what we're going to start with here. It's this right here, sharing icons, where we really need to get the URL of the page that we're on. That's how this works. That's the best way to get this to work. The other thing that we need to do, the Pinterest link really does rely on an image. And for this website, I decided that I was just going to query the first image on the page, because that is generally, the first image on the page is usually the hero image. So we just did document query selector image, like literally the image element, thinking, you know, that'll just grab the first image. That's a safe bet that you can just grab the hero and that's your featured image for a Pinterest post. Our site doesn't have images. We really don't have any images. So today I went through and I took screenshots of all of the projects, and I removed in the DOM some things because I wanted the UI element to be visible in the screenshot. So I went through and just did a screenshot of every single practice project that we've done so far. These file sizes are a little big, like 800K. I think that that's too big. So we're going to optimize those images. I have them all saved in a folder, but also we have open graph metadata. And this is really important for social media and search engine optimization. So you can see here that we've got a meta property, OG, stands for open graph. We've got the title of the page, the type of page this is. It comes from a website. There's an image, so that's the image that when you paste something into a social media like X, Facebook, whatever, there's an image that's getting scraped from the page. So I had done just a generic image. We're going to make sure that we have a custom screenshot of every project for every project, and we're going to make sure that our image, our open graph meta tag for the image reflects that, but also we want to make sure, I hadn't thought of this yet. I hadn't thought of this before. How am I grabbing that dynamically from the page if the image is not on the page? Can I get it from, can I document query selector all a meta property? Because this is the only place that the image is going to be linked. It's not going to be anyplace else, unless I hide it someplace. But why would I do that? Let's ask the Googs. Can I document query selector and a meta OG image URL? Yes. Okay. Oh, literally right here. Okay, cool. So that's honestly perfect. We have to do that for the Pinterest link. So what we're going to do is make sure that we are updating this meta property, open graph meta property for the image to reflect our screenshot. And then that's the image that we are going to grab for our Pinterest URL. Get the actual URL. Okay, so select the meta tag with the property OG meta. Okay. Get the actual URL from the content attribute. Got it. Okay, let's leave this open. We're going to need this. Beautiful. Had not even thought of that. So Okay, so I say we just go ahead and get started. This is going to be, I think, today a blend of JavaScript and CSS because we have to dynamically put these buttons on the page and we also have to get them styled. So yeah, okay, let's get busy. We also, you know what, we need our SVGs also. So what are we going to put on the page? We are going to put on the page Facebook. So we need a Facebook icon, an X icon, and Ionicons does not have an X icon. I have a theory that they just don't like Elon Musk, so that's why they don't have an X icon, but I have no idea. We need a Pinterest icon, a LinkedIn icon. We'll go ahead and do an email because that's really easy to do. I'm not going to do a print button because that's like a whole another can of worms with like a print only media query style sheet, blah, blah, blah. I'm not into that for this project. So we're just going to focus on these 5 things. Actually, maybe instead of downloading those buttons, should we just go steal those buttons from the folder for this project? Rhetorical, that is a rhetorical question. That's obviously what I'm about to do. So here's this, okay. And then we'll go here and here and here. Look at that. Okay, so we need Facebook, mail, no, not Instagram. Hang on, Pinterest, X, LinkedIn. Can I duplicate these? And then I'll take the copies. Burp. I guess I have a couple of these already, don't I? I already have a LinkedIn. Okay, fair. I'm missing one. Facebook. Okay, so we don't need the LinkedIn. We already have that one. Go to trash. Okay. Here's our mail. It's Facebook. What else? X, Pinterest, mail, Facebook, LinkedIn. Okay. We got it. Yeah, let's just have a nice chill day, huh? Let's just relax. Enjoy the scenery. We're going to put this on the bottom of every page, right above this little about section. So let's read what the focus is here. Let's read our requirements. Oh, hang on. My screen is frozen. Am I running out of memory again? Oh, good grief. Hang on. Yup. Oh, gosh darn it, Angela. Okay, hang on. Let me reset. I noticed this. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Put it in the chat if I freeze, please. Let's see here. Yep, I'm gonna have to reset this one too. And I have to offload. I'm not gonna download, unfortunately. I just need to clear my disk space. I'm running out of room. Who knew that a 1 terabyte hard drive would not be big enough? Could you ever in your wildest dreams think that? Good grief. Okay, I think that's working. Yep. That's working. That's working. Okay. Who would have ever thought? But you know what? When I bought this MacBook Pro, they didn't have what I wanted as a 2 terabyte. They just didn't have it. So I went with the one, and I was like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be plenty. So yeah, anyways, welcome, Osloy. Thanks for hanging out. Go, Elmo. I don't mean to put any pressure on you, but please, for the love of the traveling Mary, please tell me if I freeze, if my screen freezes and I don't notice. I'm begging you. Thank you. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Build a social sharing component in JavaScript that is generated dynamically and appended to the page instead of hard coding the markup in every HTML file. Check, we got it. Reading the page data from the DOM, building URLs dynamically, creating elements, setting attributes, appending nodes, handling optional values cleanly. I don't know what that means. Build accessible text labels for icon-only links. We can totally handle that. Add a heading like share this page. I can do that too. Add a copy link button as part of the same component. Perhaps. MDN prep, window location, create attribute, set attribute, append, insert a JSON element. You guys, after the last couple of days dealing with local storage, I think this is going to be a piece of cake. I think this is going to be amazing. So thank you, Malik. I appreciate it. Caffeine Cowboy, welcome, my friend. My first computer was a Power Mac 7280 with 4 megabytes of RAM and a 125 meg hard drive. Storage and memory today is outrageous. I don't even remember what my first computer specs were. I mean, it was like the 90s. When did I even get my first computer? 1994, 1995? I don't even remember. My first computer where I had the internet was in 2001. And I don't remember that either. I don't remember the specs for that either. And I had that computer for years. I mean, I got that computer in 2001. And then I bought a house in 2006. So I had it for 5 years. I remember because after I bought my house, I got another computer, a Dell laptop. I don't even remember the specs for that. Yeah. You did hear me correctly. No crazy head smashing JavaScript this weekend. We need a couple of easy days. We deserve a break. We're streaming every single day. We deserve a break. So, okay. So we're just gonna put this right down here. Let's do it. Okay. So we're gonna put this in our global script file because I want this on every page. So function init social sharing. Yeah, yesterday was intense. I mean, I learned a lot yesterday. I learned a lot. So I have no regrets. I just wasn't expecting it to be as complex as it was. But I'm so grateful. I'm so far I have no regrets over any of this. I'm so grateful for this entire experience. So, and Osloy says web ring links, MySpace, Friendster, and AOL. Oh, I had a MySpace. When did I have a MySpace? I had a MySpace in 2007, 2008, right in there. I did not enjoy that. I mean, it has taken me years to learn to enjoy social media, and even I enjoy it more now than I ever have, and I still think it is the laziest, low effort content that exists. It depends on my mindset. Some days I love it, and some days I'm just like, God damn it, I hate this. Why am I doing this to myself? Do something productive. So there's that. Okay. Let's go ahead and scope this to, well, we have to create the element that we're going to append it to. I suppose we could scope it to our right here, about me. We could scope it to the about me section and put it like right here, right before the image. Although this is, I'm pretty sure that this is either probably a grid, right? Whoops. So can we create an element and scope it to the element that we create? Let's try it. Let's try that. So document create element. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll try it. Document create element. Let's just create, well, if we're going to give it a, if we're going to give it a heading, we can do a section. We're going to create a section, and then root class list add section. We learned yesterday that you cannot combine these steps if you have multiple classes. Don't need the dot here. And then what am I going to call this? Call this social sharing. And then can I do this? If no root, or do I have to append it first? Return. I don't know if that's going to work. Can I create the element and then scope everything to the thing I created? Let's try this. Root insert adjacent. We want to do it before begin, right? Before begin. And I want to, I'm going to put it before the about me. About equals document query selector about me. Insert adjacent before begin. It would be this. Let's see if that worked. Yeah. Adjacent element about. Oh, right here. So about insert adjacent element before the beginning. This should work. Do I have these backwards? No, I don't have these backwards. Oh, this needs a dot, that's why. Okay, so there's our element. So I think we can scope everything to this after we get it in there. I think this will work. Let's try it. I wonder if this is like a best practice or not. I don't know. We'll find out, right? We'll adapt if we have to. Okay. So now we have our root element and we even have it placed. So after this, everything should just be root append and we can line up our things. The other thing I'm wondering is, we don't want to create everything 5 times, right? We kind of want to loop through, which makes me feel like the URLs that we're putting in although maybe it doesn't, it might not matter if we just do a so hang on, I have to think about this. We could just do an array of strings, loop through each of these things, and then create the elements once, but then conditionally put these things in. I think that's what I'm going to do. There could probably be a more efficient way to do it, but I don't want to create everything 5 times. But I am going to have to do a series of conditions for each of these things. We could do an array of URLs, but we have, we have dynamic content in here. So how would I do an array of URLs where there's dynamic content? Like, would a JSON accept this as a string? If I did a JSON file, if I made like an array of objects, I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. So let's just make an array of that. So we'll say const socials equals, so we've got, I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to put it down here and refer to it. So we've got Facebook, and you might have a different way of doing this. I'm just figuring it out for myself, right? LinkedIn, and then email. And then we would socials for each social. And then it would be if social equals Facebook, blah, 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 right? So now we can, we want and so what does our markup look like? Let's sketch out what the markup looks like really quick. So this is just a test, right? So we're going to have a div, and then we're going to have an h2, and this is going to be share this page. And then we're going to have buttons, and I think I would want the buttons to be, well, an h2 is a block level element, so it's automatically going to be width 100%. Why couldn't we just have buttons times 5 like that? Is there any reason? And then everything from the div could just be text align center, and then share this page would be centered, and the buttons, which are display inline block, these will all be lined up in a nice row, and they'll just be centered. And then Yeah, I mean, let's use our defaults as much as possible. There's no reason, if these are display inline block by default, why do we have to put them in a container and flexbox them? I don't think you have to. Let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? We have to add markup, right? Okay, so this will be kind of like our little primer for how we're gonna sketch this out. So I'm going to put these right here. Okay. So here's our for each. So we'll create a div. And then we need an H2. I've learned that it's best to just get everything created before you start adding text or setting attributes. Well, actually, these should not be part of the for each, though, should they? So let's actually do these right here. We'll do those right here. Because these will get appended to about. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit separate. We're going to put in not part of the for each. And then this is the loop. Okay. Let's start with these. So we know that the div needs class list add. We're going to add a class of section for sure. Oh no. Hello, Angela, you already created the root element. So we don't need this. We already created that. And we already added our classes. So this is going to be the H2 adding secondary heading. Just like that. So I think we can actually take this and stick it right up here. And then in our root, we're going to append. And we probably are going to want to wait to do this though, because we're going to need to append. Can you append twice? Can I append here and append here? Because I'm going to have to append those buttons also. Is it better to just put everything, the buttons, inside of a container? Let's try it. Let's try it and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work? So in the root, we're going to append the H2. That's all we need to do for now. And then we're going to take the root and insert it before that. So we should see that now. So this is create elements. This is add classes. This is insert the stuff. This is loose structure. Loose structure. Okay, so we should be able to see this. Boom, right there. So we'll see if we can I wonder if we can do this twice. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. We don't need this. Now, we are going to do a button, which equals well, we're still scoped to the root. No, it's got to be document. Can't use root. Document to create an element. And we're going to create a button. And then the button, we're going to set the attribute. Well, we'll do type first. Type button. And then button set attribute. Well, the ARIA label is going to be the name of the social icon. So what other attributes do we need? We need a type equals button. We need an ARIA label. Whoops, it's not spelled right. We need an ARIA label equals, so we'll say, you know, Facebook sharing or whatever. So this one would be unique. Needs to be in an if statement. We need a class of what? What's our class going to be? Social icon. Hopefully we're not. Hopefully not. That's not a class that we're already using. What else would we need? Then we have to insert. We have to add an SVG, which we are going to do with inner HTML, because that is the best way to deal with an SVG. We don't need text because that's going to be part of the ARIA label. The SVG also has to be unique. So there's still going to be some repeatable, there's still going to be some not like duplicate stuff, but the things we don't need to duplicate at least are creating the buttons, setting the first attribute. We can put in class list add. So this will be, what did I say? Social icon. We also need the page URL. Yeah, we also have to get we also have to do, I think we have to do this too. H2 text content equals share this page. So we should see that. There we go. Share this page. Add the header. Okay. And then I think we want to start defining like the URL, right? So this is going to be the window, location, href. What else do we need? We need the title of the page. We need the title of the page. Okay, we can do that because the title of the page literally has a page class called page title. Convenient. So we'll do page title equals the root query selector page title. Let's make sure we can get that because I'm still a little fuzzy on whether or not I'm actually scoping things correctly. So page title. We should see that in the console log. No. Oh, that shouldn't matter though. Well, no, because page title is not scoped to the root of that section. So this is going to be the document. It's going to be the document. Yeah. And honestly, it needs to be the text content. Can I just combine these? There we go. Okay. I'm still figuring out this scoping thing, like just keeping it straight in my head. But we're getting there. Okay, what else do we need? So we have the title. We need to get that image. Let's do that next. It's really the URL, the title of the page, and that image. Those are the three main things that we need to make these URLs dynamic. Yeah. And then we'll just do image. And again, we're just document. Let's see here let's look back at this. So document query selector meta property open graph image. Let's confirm that that's what it is. Meta property open graph image. And then we have to get the image URL by getting the attribute. So what is this? Image URL equals the open graph image tag if the open graph image tag get attribute content. See, I have trouble reading these when they're all on one line. I'm forever confused. That's why I don't do it like this. So if there is an open graph image tag, then get the attribute, get the content attribute, which is this. Got it? Else it's null. Am I reading that correctly? Okay. Fine. Image URL equals image forgive me, I have a short memory. Get attribute content. So if there's content, else null. Get the image URL from the open graph meta tag. So this is our URL. And then when we're done with this, Yeah, I want to optimize those screenshots and get them correctly linked on each page. There is a screenshot for now that we can use. But yeah, I think we can get those replaced. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think those are the only 3 things that we need. We're creating the buttons. Okay, so now this is going to get a little verbose, but I think that's okay. So if socials equals Facebook, if social equals Facebook, then button set attribute aria label share on Facebook. And then, so we also need to define the SVG. So we're setting the attribute. Can we just do button inner HTML, button inner HTML equals the SVG, right? Let's make sure that this is aria hidden equals true. So we're setting the attribute Facebook sharing, and we're putting in that SVG. I think that's it. All right, there's our X. Actually, this is going pretty well. I wasn't really sure how to do this, or I mean, I wasn't really sure like what the most efficient way was going to be to do this, but yeah, I think this is going well. What's the next one? Pinterest. Oh, and we obviously have to set the URL. We haven't done that yet. Let's just get these. Oh, you know what though? These aren't going to be buttons. We have to create an anchor element, not a button. So we can call it button, but really we're going to create, yeah, that's a good point because we also have to set the href. Okay, let's course correct here for a minute. I wasn't thinking. A button is an action. An anchor element is a link. So this is actually going to be an anchor element. And then this is going to have an href, right? Duh, that's where the link goes. So maybe instead of button, let's change the name. So we are setting the attribute, and really, I don't think that we want to do an aria label. I feel like I asked this question, this is all coming back to me now. I feel like we asked this question. and it was better to create a span, not an ARIA label on an anchor element. That's fine. We can do that too, right? We're flexible. Okay, so we're actually going to create an anchor element instead. So let's call this, so it's not going to be a type button, but I think we do want to say, we'll just call this a link, and we'll give it a class called social icon. So we don't need an ARIA label, but we are going to want to add a span. Yeah. So we'll create a link. All right. We got this. Span equals create element, span, and then this is going to be, so instead of an ARIA label, this is actually going to be span text content. That's going to be that instead. And then this, the link inner HTML is going to be this. So we're going to have our link. We're going to have our span. We have our link class. Share on X, the link inner HTML. Yeah. I don't know. Do we need to put these in an unordered list? I feel like that's always for styling. Does it matter? Anchor elements are still inline elements, so they're going to line up. I don't think semantically we're really doing anything wrong. Do we want to make sure it's at least in a nav element though? Oh, I'm not really sure. If I was just writing the markup, that's absolutely what I would do. I would put them in an unordered list. So maybe the best way to do this is to just get these into a list. So we'll just call this list item, document, create element, li, and then we would do we want to do this after? I feel like we'll get the rest of this filled in, but then it would be li append. Append is amazing because you can just line everything up. So it would just be append the link, and well, the link goes inside the list item. We're already doing the link inner HTML. So instead of doing inner HTML, link inner HTML, could we just do define SVG and then say link append SVG? Because I know that inner HTML is like not a good way to do things anymore. So what if the SVG was just a string? What if we just said What if we just did something like let SVG, and then we did SVG like that. So the SVG is just equal to a string. And then could you just say link append SVG? Should we try it? I don't know. I just have all these ideas now that I'm actually, things are starting to click, right? So we would be appending a few things. So first we would append the link to the list item, and then we would say link append the SVG and the span, right? So let's take this out and just see if we can get these two things on the page before we go any further. Okay, and then we also need to make sure that we are creating an unordered list, because then we are going to have to, how do we line up, we have to create the unordered list. So I feel like we would do const ul document create element unordered list but I don't think we want to do that inside the for each loop. We don't want to create 5 unordered lists. So maybe we would do that. And then inside here, we would just say ul append the li. Maybe put this first. And then is it just going to stack them up? We created it once, but we're looping through and adding it 5 times. I don't know. I don't see anything yet. Oh, we didn't add, we have to add the ul. We have to append the ul to, so it might be a good idea to take this and move it to the bottom, right? Outside the loop. Here's the loop. Here's our for each loop. Let's do it after. So the H2 is working. It's just not, oh, I hadn't done it yet. Okay. You hadn't done it yet, Angela. Well, it would be right here, right? UL. Okay. I think the only thing that hasn't worked, I think the only thing that didn't work is the thing with the SVG, which is totally fine. We'll go back to our original method, but that was a fun experiment. So let's do what we originally did with the SVGs, which is that the SVG needs to be the link inner HTML. How do you know if you don't try, right? How do you know? Got to be brave. Okay. So we would just need to do this. So the UL, we append the list item. The LI, we append the link. And in the link, we append the span. So the link inner HTML is the SVG, which I think I got this. I copied in this SVG wrong. Hang on. There we go. What don't you like? We need to make sure that we have single quotes. And then let's make sure we have an aria hidden true. All right. This is exactly what I would expect so far. So this worked. Let's make sure our markup looks right. Yep, we only have one UL, and that for each loop is just stacking up our LIs. Whoa, we're totally doing it. This is amazing. Okay, so the other thing that we need is our span needs an aria label, right? The span also needs, so the span is, no, it needs a class. It needs a screen reader only class. So the class would be screen reader only. Our SVG already has it, but it's an aria hidden equals true. We might as well leave this in here as like a little learning opportunity for the future people, right? I'm gonna take this out. We're just going, and then let's make sure that this represents all of the markup since we added an unordered list. And then this would be a list item. So that's what we have. Do we need to add a class to anything? Probably. Let's make sure that our unordered list has a class. I generally don't put a class on the list item. This is reminding me of why I make sure that I'm doing all the markup and styling first. This is why I do that. But I wanted to jump into the JavaScript part of this as soon as possible today, so people don't think that I'm like, what's the term that I'm thinking of with thumbnails or titles. I want to give you what you're clicking. I can't remember the word I'm thinking of. I want to make sure that if you're clicking, you're getting the thing that you clicked on. Okay, it doesn't need to be a type button. Okay, so there's going to be an href, a class. Then we have our SVG with the aria hidden true. That's part of the markup, so we don't have to add that attribute. We'll add a class for our span. So we'll do that here. Span, add class, class list add. And this is going to be SR only. This is fun though. I'm having so much fun. I'm loving this. Let's give our unordered list a class. Way more chill than yesterday so far. Just creating elements. That's all. I'm so here for this. Okay, so class list add, we'll call this sharing list. Love it. Create an unordered list. The loop, create an unordered list. Here's our loop. How are we looking? There's our class. There's our social icon. Here's our SVG, aria hidden, true. Here is our span, screen reader only. God damn it. JavaScript, you are amazing. Is the universe made out of JavaScript? That's what I'm starting to think. I think the universe is made out of JavaScript. It must be. This is magical. This is magical. And the fact that I'm just sitting here doing it, this is day 11. Have you ever seen me comfortably sit and just do this? Ever. In the history of my channel? Never. This is just, my mind is blown. My mind is blown. So, okay, Angela. Moving on. So next we need, and we're going to get the link href in there in a minute. Let's just get everything displaying, and then we'll put in the links with the dynamic content last. What's next? Pinterest. If social equals Pinterest, here's our span, share on Pinterest, and then our link inner HTML. Let's grab our Pinterest. Make sure that we have an aria hidden equals true. Else if social, oops, equals what? LinkedIn. So as I said a little bit ago, sometimes I do create everything 2 or 3 times, and then the pattern is much easier to extract out. Yeah, I'm trying to find a good balance. I definitely went with this approach today. And Caffeine Cowboy says, by the end of the month, I foresee future projects having the basic HTML being an opening div and the rest all dynamically created and the JavaScript doing the heavy lifting. I mean, maybe. I'm not ruling it out. I know that you've brought that up before, and the reason I don't, well, I'm clearly more comfortable with it, like literally in the last week. The reason I don't want to do that too much is because I still want these to be static templates that people could take and use in any, like anywhere, WordPress, some weird CMS, things like that, right? But what I would like to do is have more dynamic UI elements. So if I'm building a website, maybe the core pages would still be static, but I would make sure that we're building a blog, and that's all dynamic content from a JSON file with a lot of this type of interactive or dynamic UI stuff. I'm still, my mind is like so busy thinking about how this is going to elevate and expand what I'm doing on this channel. So it's exciting. I also have ideas for more things that are more web app and less website. So stay tuned for that because I've got ideas. I have ideas. So thank you, Monique. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. But this is just going swimmingly. I'm loving this. I'm so glad we don't have to deal with local storage today. Just really relieved. Inner HTML. Let's get our X. Okay. And this is aria hidden equals true. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if you could just define the SVG as a string and append it? Yeah, that didn't work. It was a nice thought though. And then what's the final one here? Email. Email a friend. All right, nice. And I think we have an inline style here. We do. Current color. So we're going to take that out. Now we should be able to, oh, we have another one right here. All right, now we have complete control. These are the global colors that I set for every SVG. That's how I know I'm getting the inline styles out. And then I have complete control over the styles. I always do blue and red because the red is the fill, the blue is the stroke, and then I know what I'm dealing with. I know which property to use when I do get to the styling. So that'll obviously change. So, wow. Okay, now we just have to set the link href. That's the last thing that we have to do. And get, and those also have to be encoded. So if there are any spaces, we have that encoding in the address bar in the URL. Let's see here. I'm wondering also, yeah, we can actually do this a little bit differently. I think we can just do, so we've got link inner HTML, but I think we can just do link href equals, and then we want to do encode URI backticks, and then just as an example here, I have these copied, so I'm just going to put these in, and let's make sure, I want to make sure that this is uppercase, and I'm just going to change this to title. And I'm going to change this to, I'm renaming some of my variables just to match what I already have in my code so I don't have to change a bunch of stuff. So instead of image, I'm going to change this to image meta. Image meta. And I'm just going to change this to image. Okay, so here's our 3 variables. Now let's get our link in. So here's the Facebook link. And this is just a result of a lot of Googling. And then once we have all this in place and we have it styled, we'll push this up to the production site. And then we'll use the Facebook, what's it called? The Facebook debugger tool. And we'll go ahead and scrape this page. And then we'll share these, once we get it pushed up, we'll test this just by sharing on all these social media sites. So there's link href. So here we'll do link href. And we're encoding the URI. We'll put in backticks. So here's X. Here's the share for X. Here's Pinterest. So it's the link href. Encode the URI. We have backticks. Here's the URL. So we've got the dynamic URL, the image that's being pulled in, the description is the title. Here's LinkedIn. So this is the link, href, encode the URI, backticks for those template literals. And then email. Code URI, backticks, and this is just a mail to. I think the other thing that we're going to want to do is I think we are going to want to put in an attribute, target blank. Yeah, so everything opens in a new tab, not the same tab. So let's do that up here. So that would be our link. So let's do a link, set attribute, target underscore blank. And then when they click on those links, that'll open in a new window. Let's see what we have. Look at this. I'll make this a little bigger. So here's our anchor element, our class. Let's move the class and the target down. Yeah. I'm gonna move these down. So we're adding the other stuff first. I don't know. It probably doesn't matter. It just looks weird to me. Okay, there we go. So here's our anchor element. Here's the share URL. It's grabbing the URL of the page that we're on. That'll obviously reflect the production domain once we deploy. Here's our target. Here's our class. Here's our SVG. Here's our span with screen reader only text. I mean, mind blown. What an awesome task this was. Now we just style and test. My goodness. Love this so much. And this is on every page now. So this should be on every single page. So let's check. And then these links are going to dynamically reflect the URL of the page that we're on. Look at that. This is the root. This is day 2. We should look at the Pinterest. Let's look at the Pinterest. Make sure that that's actually grabbing the URL. It's tiny. Media. But it is grabbing the correct URL. I can confirm. It's tiny, but it's there. So, outstanding. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get this styled. Let's commit, just so we have like a hard point of where it is that we actually, let's separate. Let's separate. I also put in this link here just for this page. So just to scroll down, we'll get this styled. I don't know if we're going to need to, I put in, there's an anchor point here, which we can also reposition on the page if we have to, but I think once these are styled, it'll be just fine. Whoops. Yeah. Okay. Wow. This is so cool. All right. Let's style this. Look at this. Stop it. Okay. Angela. I can't help it. I can't help it. Okay, anything else that we need to do here? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm going to leave all of this. I feel like this should be a little higher. So it's actually doing its job, right? And then maybe that could be there. Let's tidy it up a little. So we're getting the about section first, and then we're creating the root. And then we're scoping everything to the root. So we're doing that first. I mean, is that the right way to do it? I think so. And I'm going to move these up, I guess, to right there. How does this look? Maybe we'll ask ChatGPT if we scope this correctly, but I think it's okay. I think it's fine. So if this didn't exist, nothing would exist. Yeah, it just goes away. So if for some reason this element doesn't get created, then the whole thing just fails, and that's fine. That's what we want, right? We just want it to stop, and we don't want to worry about anything else. And then everything else, the stuff that's scoped, this is the most important part for scoping here, right? It's the append and then inserting it onto the page. This is the most important part. So if the root doesn't exist, then none of it happens and nothing wonky gets inserted onto the page. So I feel like this makes sense to me. Set some attributes, append the elements. All right. And then let's put this, here, the loop. Do I want suggestions about the code from the audience? I appreciate this question. No, I do not. Thank you for asking. I like what I did here. I'm happy with this. I'm sure it could be improved. I'm going to figure that out. So it makes sense to me. I can't improve on something that I don't even know how to do to begin with. That's where I'm at with this process. So I do like getting help from the chat, especially when I'm stuck on something. But also, I like the experience of figuring it out. And so maybe it's a little messy. Maybe it could be better. But how am I ever going to figure that out if I can't even get to this point? That's my theory. So, okay, well, let's do some styling. We got about, we have about a half an hour left, but honestly, I'm good for the next hour or so. I want to get this styled. I want to get this pushed up. I want to make sure, I mean, I could probably do the images myself later today because we do technically have an image loaded. So let's just at least get everything styled and pushed up and tested. So yeah, it does what I want. And I love it. So, okay, styles. Angela, stop talking. Why building buttons with JavaScript? Why not HTML? Because I don't want to put markup on 30 new pages. So I'm doing it dynamically. And the whole point of this is to get better with JavaScript. Exactly. The goal is to learn JavaScript. If this was any other project, I probably would be just putting in the markup. This is so funny that I'm getting this question now of all times. Hang on one moment. The question that I get asked, I mean, not a ton, but a fair amount, is why aren't I using more JavaScript to do things dynamically? And so here I am using JavaScript to do things more dynamically, and the irony of getting the question of why aren't you using it more with HTML? So the whole point of this, so this might be a good time to remind people that this is day 11 of the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. This is where I go live for 30 days. I work on 30 little mini projects, and I try to get better at JavaScript. I try to develop a deeper understanding and understand the process better. And I'll be damned if it's not working. We're on day 11 and I'm already feeling the most comfortable doing some of these things than I've ever felt. So I love it. Do me a favor also, while we're at it, while we're chatting, like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to have you. I'm generally here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, at around 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, this is a good point. Well, so the code guy says, are you learning or building? We're doing both, my friend. Both things are happening at the same time. I am learning and I am building. Osley says, when you're doing X, why aren't you doing Y? When you're doing Y, why aren't you doing X? Exactly. Oh, you should have mentioned this on the title. I thought you were building buttons in JavaScript, so I asked, why not HTML? Wait a second, what? You should have mentioned this on the title. I thought you were building buttons in JavaScript, so I asked, why not HTML? I don't understand that statement. I feel like build social sharing buttons with JavaScript. I feel like that's what I said we were doing, and that's what we did. So if you felt misled by the title, my apologies. So, okay, here we go. And Andrew says, learn by doing. That is how it has always been, or rather, that is always how it should have been. Yeah, that's it exactly. So, okay, so let's do some styling. This is the easy part. For me, at least, styling is the easy part. So, let's find our spot right here. Hopefully I didn't duplicate any classes by mistake, which I have a bad habit of doing. What do we call these? So we called this sharing list, and I called this social icon. We can change that if we need to. Nope, I don't think I have it here. For me, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty comfortable since I switched to all vanilla CSS last summer. I'm pretty comfortable putting everything in one file. I know that not everybody is comfortable with that, but I'm good with it. So, yeah. I have a system. Social sharing. These are the social sharing buttons. Okay, so sharing list. Start with our UL. Sharing list. We'll remove that default margin and padding. And list style type none. And then how did we, I feel like we did grid. We got the best results with grid last time we did this. Nope, Flexbox. Also, should we add some text here too? So we've got a link, and then we've got an SVG, text, and a span. And these three things are sibling elements. Well, yeah, these are all siblings. Share post pin, share email. That's not a bad idea. Let's display flex these. Flex flow, row, no wrap. Align items, center. Well, justify content. Justify content, I am going to center them. Same with align items, also center. And we'll give this some gap. We'll just start with the rem, see how it goes. Yeah, let's add some text, actually. I don't think we need this anymore. Okay. So let's do link text content. So this is Facebook, so we would say share. And then this is X, so I think we would just say post. Pinterest. We can say pin. LinkedIn, we would say we say? Share. And then email, I think would just be email. So link, text content. And what happened to our SVGs? Oh, look at that. So inner HTML and text content. So we're going to have to put these also in a span. We need 2 spans because text content wiped out our inner HTML. Unless we just want to put the word, can we just put the word after the SVG? Are we breaking any rules doing this? What if we just do that? So this is why this is such a good exercise. How would I know? How would I realize all these things if I wasn't actually doing this? Right? Practice. There we go. Perfect. Social icon. I'm going to flexbox these as well. And we'll just give this a little bit of gap. There we go. And then let's work on our SVGs. So that would be the social icon SVG. And how do we want to style these? Well, our X icon has a fill and a gap, or excuse me, a fill and a stroke. So I'm going to I wonder if we need to put unique classes on here. Or can I target it with, see, I don't have an ARIA attribute, so I can't target it with that. I could add an extra class. I need to be able to target the X, unless I can just do a stroke and a fill and it looks okay. So let's do a width of 3 rems. And, well, we already have a height and a width though, don't we? 48 by 48. The whole thing is clickable. Let's just do a fill of, we'll just do white for now. And a stroke. Yeah, we have to target that X. What's the best way to target those? Probably just putting an extra class on the SVG, right? So here's our, and I wouldn't even have to do it on all of them. I really just need to do it on the X SVG. Just put in a class. And we'll just call this the X SVG. Because I just need to be able to take the I'm going to take the stroke off. See how it looks. Stroke, none. You know what I should be doing? Is I should just be doing this in here, shouldn't I? Stroke. Can I just do that? How did I do this last time? Stroke none. Okay. I think I put it inside. Let's try this. Stroke none. So I have to put it on the path. There we go. Now we don't have to deal with a wonky style, and we don't need that extra class. Oops. We can take that out. So the code guy says, related to my CSS file, if you are good, it's fine. But if you are sharing this with a new person, I think they might get confused a bit. So all of my work is open source. This is a vanilla channel. Everything is vanilla. So if I were using Sass, obviously I would split this into partials, but that's not what we're doing here. And I don't want to make multiple CSS files and then link and have all those extra HTTP requests. So everything here is open source. The whole point of this is that we do, excuse me, we do the three things that the browser renders natively. That's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. No compilers, no package managers, no frameworks, no libraries. I don't have anything against those things. I know how to use those things. I've been a developer for 13 years. The point of the channel is to remember how to do vanilla and to remember how the browser works. That's what we're doing here. Everything is open source. I want things to be vanilla and static because I want people to be able to reuse the work however they want. I don't assume that you're going to take something that I build and use it as is. I assume that you're going to turn it into a WordPress theme, or maybe you're going to use it in your proprietary CMS with some obscure templating language. Like the last CMS I worked in used Velocity for templating. So the whole point of this is to just do static open source work that other people can reuse in their own projects. So if you decide to use this, you don't need to keep it as one file, do you? It's an open source project. You can fork it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can split it into partials. You can use Sass. You can use less. You can do whatever you want with it. So yes, I am fine with it. If you're not fine with it, fork it and change it, right? I think I'm right about that. So, no, I've never used Tailwind. So, I've worked on many a project that uses Bootstrap or Foundation. Have yet to work on a project that uses Tailwind, and I build all of my CS. I do all of my styling from scratch. I've been hired specifically because I didn't rely on a library or a framework, and I could do things from scratch. So that's just where I'm at in my career. So there's that. Okay. Here we go. This is looking a little ugly, isn't it? So how do we want this to look? Let's just give these, make these look button-ish and give them like a navy blue background. Yeah. Because I want to make sure that we have time to deploy and test. So, and also let's zoom out a little bit. These are pretty big. So you can see what the actual size is here. So let's make them look more buttony, shall we? We definitely, they're pretty juicy right now, and I want to keep them that way. Although we could make the SVGs a little smaller and just add some padding to the anchor elements. We could do that too. So what is the anchor element class is what? I didn't put a, did I put a link on the anchor element? Social icon. Oh, that's this right here. So let's add a little padding. I'm going to add a padding of, we could do 1 rem, and then we could change the width and the height of this. So this would be, well, maybe not 1, maybe 0.5, and then this would be 2 rems. Perfect. That's the perfect size. Now we have our tap target, but it's a little smaller. And let's add a background. So we'll add a background color here. And we'll go with our dark. So we'll have to make sure that we are accounting for all of our page colors. We'll start with this first. I like it. Let's give it a little extra padding on the left and right. Make it more buttony. Beautiful. And we'll give it a little border radius. Just like 5 pixels. Just smooth out the corners a little bit. I love it. And then let's kind of reverse engineer. So how do we want the hover to work on this? I don't think we need the underline. And I love that the whole thing is clickable. It honestly, it looks so nice. This is going to look nice on all the pages too. Let's do that next. So really the default though is teal. So we have to make this work with our body classes. So this would be navy, social icon, and then the background color would be dark navy. And then we have dark navy. And then we have our pink. I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's make sure that our text decoration color, is transparent. And then we're going to do, so what do we want our hover active focus to be? We could just, we have a light version. So I don't really want to transition the SVGs because I'm just feeling really lazy right now about that. So let's just transition this background color and let's not worry about a link text decoration color. Yeah, we're gonna have to do everything 3 times anyways. So for the body class, so it's focus, hover, active, and the background color is going to be light teal. That's the default. Whoops. Light teal. And then we're going to do this again for the navy. And then we're going to do this again for the pink. Oops. That's not what I wanted. This. Light navy and light pink. And then we want to make sure that we have a transition here for that background color. "300 milliseconds, ease in out." I love it. Sometimes it's okay to be lazy. Sometimes it's okay to be lazy. Sometimes you still get good results with lazy. I'm so into this. Is that enough contrast? I don't know. Maybe in order to have enough contrast, let's make sure that we have the like a border. Let's make sure that we still have a border that doesn't change. Yeah, that might be a good idea. So we'll do a border. We'll do a border of 2 pixels, solid, and it'll be the dark version, just to make sure that we continue to have enough contrast when we transition to that lighter color. Yeah. Let's bring down this padding a little bit since we added that border. I'm actually just going to, I'm going to do this. 0.5 rems minus 2 pixels. That should get us back to, yeah, that gets us back to the same height we were since we added that 2 pixel border on the top and bottom. I I really like it. Let's make sure that we have a little, let's make sure that we are responsive, right? Yeah, we definitely need to make sure that we're responsive. I also want to make sure that we've got some margin on the top and bottom of this unordered list. So we'll just put a rem here on the top and bottom. I'm going to do 2 rems because I feel like we're bumping into each other there with that header. Yeah. And then let's make sure that on mobile, so we need to I mean, we barely make it here down to 1024. What's our gap? So our gap is 1 rem. Let's just do 0.5, and then let's do a media query. Yep, that's much better. Let's do a media query at 1024 pixels, and we're just going to line them up. We're just going to do the good old-fashioned column, row to column media query. Why not? So we'll adjust this right here. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. Let's just change the flex. Honestly, we can just change the, I don't think we need any of this. Let's just change the flex direction to column. And then I think we would want to make these let's just make the list items with the 100%, the anchor elements display block. So the sharing list LI, these can be with 100%. And then what is the social icon? That's the class of the anchor element. I think we can make these display block, and they should just be we're close. Oh yeah, I don't want to change the display. We want these to be display flex. Maybe I just have to do with the 100% here too. There. It is a slightly lazy approach. It's a little bit of a lazy approach. I think it's fine. I think it's just fine. So let's see what this looks like if we zoom out a little bit. So here's 100%. Yeah, I think that looks great. I'm so into it. I love it. This was such a good exercise. Okay. Let's just peruse the pages, shall we? Automatically gets added to every page. We're not really seeing any errors in the console. No, I don't think so. All right, let's go ahead and commit this. We'll get this deployed, and then we'll go ahead. I think I'm going to work on those screenshot images for each page. So we've got a unique screenshot, especially to go with that Pinterest. Well, it's the only place that it's used is the Pinterest link. I'll work on that offline. What else was I thinking I would do? Oh, I need to add the code to the page. So I need to add the markup and the JavaScript. Oh, but is there markup to add if everything is dynamic? Maybe I just put in a message saying that. Although I could put in my example. I have to think about that. I'll add these two pieces later on. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and commit this. And then we'll test it. We'll do the Facebook debugger, and then we'll go ahead and test it. So we have a little bit of testing left to do. Social sharing buttons. All right. And then let's break out the oldie but goodie, FileZilla. If you're deploying a static website with no backend, rsync or FileZilla. I've been using FileZilla a lot the last couple of months. I forgot how easy it was to use. So what did we really update today? Like script.js, style.css. We didn't add really any markup to any other pages. We'll find out. All right, I'm gonna close that. We'll close this. I'm going to turn off live server. I'm really superstitious when I check a production site after I deploy. It's a holdover from my WordPress days. So here's our production site. There it is. All right, so let's test some of these. Let's open up the Facebook debugger. That's a great place to start. So we'll start with, let me get it open here. So you have to be logged into Facebook first, and then we'll go to Facebook debugger. Okay, so here's the home page of the site, 30 days of vanillajavascript.com. So I'm just going to right click and copy the link address, and we'll put it right in here. And so we can even see here that we're getting that URL dynamically. So we'll go ahead and we're really just scraping it to get all the Open Graph data, right? Facebook URLs cannot be crawled. Oh, actually, I did that wrong. Oopsies. We want the URL of the page. My bad. So we'll debug the page first, and then we'll go ahead and share using the link. Response code 2, what is this? Response code 206. Canonical URL, fetched URL, link preview. So this is the current screenshot that I have. So those will get updated. And we have the URL of the site, the title, the description. So here's our Open Graph URL, type, website, title, description, open graph image. Oh, I will add an image alt. Okay, I should have done that. I can add those. So it probably wants me to fix, this is the other thing. Facebook always wants me to have like an app ID, and I don't create app IDs for static website projects. So yeah, I'm not putting that in. So this is basically, it's just scraping the page and letting you know what it's going to look like. So I have Facebook open. So now if I go to any page, we just did like a little preliminary scrapey scrape. So if I go to share, it'll open in a new page. And look at that. It's automatically sharing. It knows the URL of the site. It knows the title. It's grabbing that image. That works exactly, you can delete. That works exactly the way it should. So let's try the other ones. Let's open X. What is the shit show called X today? Go ahead and share. And there it is. It's automatically grabbing the title. It's grabbing the URL of the page. I think if I hit post, it'll also, well, there's no image, right? There's no image on the page, so it's just going to do that. Oh, interesting, but it should still get this from the Open Graph data. But it's getting the Open Graph description. Is it still loading? I don't know. But it's getting everything that I put in that Open Graph data. Pin. Look at that. It's pulling everything. Choose a board. Do this. There it is. Share on LinkedIn. Loading preview. There it is. So it's getting the image from the Open Graph data, the title of the page, the URL of the website. What do you want to talk about? Nothing. I want to talk about nothing. And then email. So this should open up. This should just open up like a blank page in Gmail. That's what I think is going to happen. Yeah. So it opens up a blank page in Gmail. It fills in the subject with the title, and then the body, we programmed it to have the title and the URL. So let's look at that. Maybe should I have done a better job explaining what's actually happening in those URLs? Here's the email. So the email is just a mail to with these endpoints. Subject equals the title, and then the body equals the title and the URL. They all work. Everything works. So there it is. Social sharing buttons. Technically they're links. They look like buttons. It's not the button element. It's a link. Right? And now this is unique for every single page. It's grabbing the title. It's grabbing, so here's the day 9 form validation states. So we'll do the email. And it's grabbing the title of the page, and it's adding the title and the link to the page in the body, because we control that programmatically. Right? Oops. Yes, you can leave. Okay, that's it. Social sharing buttons on every page now. I love it. So tomorrow, let's see here what's happening in the chat. Text decoration color is a new one for me. Yeah, I just learned about that one in the last year or so. So that's thanks to a gal who used to hang out here. Her name was Bailey. She was the one who told me about that. Bailey from Phoenix, Arizona. Zora is here. Hello from Paris. Welcome. Do you have XMPP chat or matrix room or something for this project? No, I don't even know what those things are. So no. I don't, usually people ask me if I have Discord. I also do not do Discord. I had a Discord I had a Discord set up for this channel at one point. I'm not into it, so I deleted it. I don't have time for it. I can't be bothered. The community is the stream. That's what I've decided. So thank you. Thank you, Malik. Appreciate it. Yeah, I enjoyed this. So I'm going to work on getting that code onto those pages later today. And I'm going to update the images, and I have to build some more pages, and I have lots of editing to do. So, and we're coming in right over 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. So everybody, do me a favor. Like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you're new. I would love to have you. I'm here every day in the month of April. This is the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, and today was the social sharing icon buttons. Come back tomorrow for the GDPR cookie consent banner. We're going to make cookies tomorrow. We're baking cookies. So there's that. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you in the morning. Bye.